Before we begin, take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe if you are tired of mainstream culture rewarding chaos over clarity, outrage over reason, and spectacle over substance. Because what I'm about to say is uncomfortable. It's unsettling and it cuts straight through the polished narratives the media sells you every day. We are told every day that society is progressing, that we are becoming more tolerant, more inclusive, more enlightened. We are told that human rights are expanding, voices are being heard, and underrepresented groups finally have platforms. But when you look beneath the surface, not at the headlines, not at the viral clips, but at who actually gets amplified and rewarded, you start to see something disturbing. A feedback loop that elevates the extreme, monetizes the polarizing, and sidelines or punishes the voices that try to bring nuance, reasoned debate, or real connection to the conversation. Every platform, every news cycle, every trending topic is dominated by people who scream the loudest, not necessarily those who think the deepest, and the system doesn't just tolerate this, it incentivizes it. Consider public figures like Abby Chatfield and her partner, Adam Hyde. Here's a man whose music gets played on FM radio, something many artists work years, even decades for. That's a real platform, real reach, real cultural presence, and yet when he steps into political or cultural commentary, what comes out isn't thoughtful debate or reasoned critique, it's rhetoric. Dehumanization and naked hostility toward everyday Australians protesting for their beliefs. He dismisses them as morons, tells them to die, and tells them not to procreate. That's not just disagreement, that's contempt, pure and unfiltered. And what happens? Nothing. No accountability, no repercussions on his platform, no withdrawal of recognition. He continues to be celebrated by parts of the media and supported by fan bases who latch onto the rage. That alone tells you everything you need to know about cultural insensitives. Outrage is rewarded, nuance is ignored, and humanity takes a back seat to the engagement metrics. And then there's Clementine Ford, a writer and a commentator whose media recognition isn't rooted in bridging divides or fostering understanding, but in relentless confrontational rhetoric. Her work gets published, promoted, and widely discussed. Not because it unites, but because it divides. Some people see her as a voice of empowerment. Others see her as a symbol of why thousands of men and women feel dismissed and treated as adversaries rather than fellow citizens. And yet, she's rewarded. Book deals, media coverage attention, while reasoned voices who advocate for dialogue are ignored or ridiculed. This isn't a matter of right versus left, it's about the mechanics of attention. The media ecosystem, social platforms, broadcast media, influencers, doesn't elevate voices because they are constructive or insightful. It elevates them because they provoke reaction. Drama gets clicks, anger gets engagement, outrage gets views, and views are the currency of influence. But the damage extends far beyond the attention economy. It shapes what people think is acceptable behaviour, what they believe is the fastest route to success, what they internalise as the right way to be heard. Young people watching this see that the ones with extreme attitudes, the ones who polarise, the ones who attack entire groups, rather than engage them, they are the ones with platforms, media coverage, and validation. And that teaches a generation that extremism is a legitimate path to influence, and that harms public discourse, trust, and cohesion at a societal level. And speaking of harm and double standards in expression, let's talk about Drew Pavlo, an activist whose recent experience highlights just how inconsistent our society's approach to free speech has become. In early January 2026, Pavlo, well known for his activism, was at an unauthorised protest in Sydney opposing a foreign policy issue when he began chanting USA loudly to counter the crowd. Within moments, police rushed him, pulled his arm behind his back, nearly injuring it, and held him in a cell for about 40 minutes before releasing him without charges because they couldn't figure out what offence he had actually committed. He later said the arrest was so heavy-handed that his arm nearly got broken. And then he was let go because there was no clear charge to bring against him. Consider that for a moment. Someone shouting a patriotic chant at a protest, non-violent, non-threatening, not inciting hatred, and police treat it as though it justifies physical force and detention. At the same time, much more inflammatory rhetoric directed at other groups is amplified, celebrated, and monetized without consequence. That's not just inconsistent enforcement, it's a cultural message, a lesson in which kinds of expression are acceptable and which are treated as threats. And Pavlov's clashes with authorities aren't new. He's been fined over alleged breaches related to a protest in Brisbane when protesters deemed his signs unauthorised advertising, and he refused to comply with the directions to remove them. Despite his clear intent to make a political point, he fought those fines in court and lost, seeing them upheld and eventually accumulating thousands of dollars in costs, in what he described as an attempt to silence dissent. And this pattern isn't only happening in one isolated case. It's happening across the board. We've seen individuals arrested for wearing or chanting phrases, while others whose language is significantly more extreme walk free, get sponsors, get media opportunities, and are rewarded with visibility. This creates an environment where people question the very foundation of free expression. What can you say? What will get punished? What gets you amplified? These questions shouldn't have different answers depending on who you are or what message you bring, yet that's precisely what it looks like today. This isn't simply an issue of public order. It's a demonstration of a society that selectively tolerates speech, honouring extreme rhetoric from certain groups, but criminalising or suppressing it when it comes from others. And all the while, the cultural narrative tells us we are simply being progressive or modern. But it's not progress. It's not modernisation. It's regression. Instead of encouraging respectful debate, we've created a marketplace that trades in outrage and conflict. Instead of celebrating creativity, we reward anyone who can stir the pot hardest. Instead of fostering new conversations that heal, we push division deeper. And this matters because it reshapes who feels empowered and who feels alienated. There's a silent group of people, ordinary men and women, who watch this unfold and feel unseen. They are not part of the loud factions. They are not hosted on podcasts. They are not tweeting hot takes for clout. They try to think critically, engage reasonably, and be decent humans. But they watch as the culture tells them, your voice doesn't matter unless it's loud, bitter, or divisive. That's not progress, that's cultural disintegration. And the more society elevates people whose platforms are based on reactions, the more it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. Young people see the attention the loud get and mimic extreme tones. They adopt the same binary thinking. They see compromise as weakness. They see calm, reason, as irrelevant. This teaches a generation that anger is currency, division is influence, and violence is visibility. That's not a future worth chasing. So if you are watching this, if you are tired of a world that elevates freak shows instead of thinkers, that rewards outrage instead of reason, that punishes simple expression on one hand and celebrates chaos on the other, then take a stand in your own way. Think critically, demand consistency, value substance over spectacle, and don't buy into the lie that rage and division are what define our culture. Because until we start valuing dialogue over division, reason over outrage, and truth over chaos, this reverse culture will continue to thrive. We'll keep rewarding the most extreme voices while silencing, intentionally or not, the ones who could actually help us heal, understand one another, and build a society worth living in. Thank you for listening. If you value honesty, clarity, and voices that refuse to be drowned out by noise, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message. The world doesn't need louder voices, it needs wiser ones. And together, we can refuse to let reverse culture define what it means to be human. Quick heads up, if you want more of this kind of stuff, I post a lot over on my Facebook page too. It's not clips or highlights, it's longer posts, thoughts, and observations that don't really work in a YouTube video. Things I notice day to day, dating, social dynamics, politics, mental health, just how people actually interact. It's a non-profit page, so there's no hype, no drama, no algorithm chasing, just my genuine thoughts, reaching out properly. If you like going a bit deeper than short clips and surface level takes, you might like it. Links in the description. Now back to the video. I know some of the stuff I said in this video will ruffle a few feathers, but sometimes it just has to be said. So what's everyone doing for Australia Day? Or for some of you, Australia Month. It's funny how the media pushes a narrative that everyone should get behind it. But the haters? Nah, they'll always find something to complain about. Looking at the world right now, so much is happening, and honestly, I could talk about it for hours. Maybe I will one day, but for now, let's keep it neutral. But seriously, why all the hate? Why not get up, break free from whatever's holding you back, and actually improve your life? All that negative energy, it's heavy. Stop expecting others to make you happy. Go hit the gym, laugh at the haters, and focus on being the best version of yourself. Like they say, they hate us because they ain't us. That should hit home for most people, but instead, a lot of folks just project their insecurities on everyone else. And honestly, the version of yourself you are shaping now, that's the real you. Own it, keep chipping away until that mold is unbreakable. I'm just sick of seeing this whole blaming the world attitude because life didn't go your way. No more pity parties. The world isn't in our control. Some people might already be too far gone, but for others, the choice is still yours. It's also worth saying that trauma is awful for anyone, and anyone who neglects, abuses, or harms people should be dealt with swiftly. For some people, that damage is incredibly hard to undo. I've grown up around some of those environments myself. Nothing extreme, but enough to see how it shapes you. Over time, people adapt. You learn to regulate emotions just to survive. But I don't think the answer is blaming society as a whole. The real issue is at the root. The culture that allows these things to slide, and the institutions that look the other way. That's what evolution is supposed to be. Recognizing what's broken and actually fixing it. We shall be moving towards solutions that protect people, especially kids. A culture that leans heavily on alcohol and constantly assuming the worst in others only keeps things spiraling. I'm not saying ban alcohol, that's not the point, but long-term abuse without support or guidance does far more harm than good, and pretending otherwise just creates more damage down the line. I think we need to move past the idea that drinking is mandatory. Not drinking should be totally normal. A culture shaped by heavy alcohol use and abused power isn't the Australia I want for my kids. And you can already see younger people pushing back. Calling it the Australian way just feels like avoiding the long-term damage. Some people use it to cope, others just for fun. But the harm it does to mental health and society doesn't really justify it. Go out, have a drink on the weekend with friends or family, that's totally fine. But when it turns into an everyday habit, or starts feeling out of control, that's when it becomes a problem. No one has to buy into the idea that drinking is essential. Times change, and a lot of people are waking up, smelling the roses and saying, I've had enough. I want to put myself first and be part of something better. Back in the day, I used to think YouTubers, politicians, and media outlets gave the best coverage, and my opinions kind of formed around that over time. I found new sources and different perspectives. Like Socrates says, I know that I know nothing. What I'm sharing here is just my take, but the reality I see is shaped by how I experience it. Lastly, Amazon Prime Gaming dropped this month's free games. Kinda disappointing, but here's what we're getting. Civilization 6 is there again, but I already own it from a previous giveaway, so that's a skip for me. Reflections of Life, Dark Architect, Collector's Edition, Amazon Games app, January 15. Brigador, Up-Armed Edition, GOG, Gunslug, Road Tactics, GOG, Death Keep, GOG. January 22nd. Harold Halabat, GOG. D&D Stronghold Kingdom Simulator, GOG. Gen 29th. Alquickidum, The Genie's Curse, sorry if I mispronounced that, GOG. Technotopia, Amazon Games app, Elderborn, GOG. The rest are spread across Amazon Games and GOG. But honestly, none of them really grab me. I probably won't play most of them. Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, leaves on February 3rd. So I'm debating whether to grab that before it goes. Might be worth it, or might not. The new Resident Evil trailer dropped. Let's check it out. So I'll be catching back up on some Resident Evil games before I get into this. I'll probably start Resident Evil 0 soon. But as you can see in the footage for this clip, I've been playing Ukulele, which is a fun game to get back into. Has those old Banjo-Kazooie vibes. I think Leon is going to be on this. Like I said before, if you guys enjoy the videos, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll probably do a live stream playing this game. I apologise for the silence. Check it out for yourself if you want. I'm just giving my thoughts at the moment. It's got Leo on it. Leonardo. It looks pretty solid. The raccoon stuff feels way bigger than usual. I don't think it's a full open world, but definitely more room to explore. Leon being back is a big win too. I'm curious to see how it goes. It could be really good. Anyway, back to the video. So this video is going to be a bit shorter than the other ones I've been doing, because in my last live stream I put together at least 3 videos, but for some reason I couldn't upload it, so we're just going to stick with 2 for now. Scroll through your feed. Really, scroll. Watch the endless carousel of lives, images, and headlines designed to get clicks. And then you start to see the system. The culture, the pattern, social media, the news, the influencers, they don't reward wisdom, restraint, or common sense. They reward spectacle, extremes, and attention. And what do most young people, especially girls, see? Attention, likes, fame, the reward before the cost. Take Lily Phillips. You know her story. She slept with more than 100 men in a single day, recorded, broadcast, viral, millions of people watched. Commented, shared. Later, she went public about getting baptized. Reconnecting with faith. That's extreme, sexualized attention first, reflection later. Think about what young girls are seeing. The attention, the likes, the fame, the reaction. They don't see the exhaustion, the disassociation, the emotional toll. They see glamour. They see, look what you could do if you just went further. And the lesson spreads across TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, and OnlyFans. The simp economy thrives. Men spend thousands tipping, subscribing, funding, attention-seeking behavior. Extreme behavior equals financial reward. Want to go viral? Push harder. Want to monetize? Go further. It's a cycle that reinforces extremes. It's not just entertainment, it's teaching impressionable girls that attention from men is the goal. That validation is the goal. Then there's the cosmetic culture, the Brazilian butt lift, the BBL. Social media glamorizes it, bigger, rounder, perfect. But the reality? Dangerous, deadly infections, nerve damage, fluid accumulation, fat neurosis, and yes, the BBL smell. Musty, sour, a signal that your body is in crisis. Not glamour, not cute, but young girls scrolling online don't see that. They see the photos, they see the likes, they see what culture tells them is desirable. Travel overseas for cheaper procedures. Complications multiply. Hospital stays. Corrective surgeries. Lifelong consequences. And yet the ads continue. Social media tells girls, look at what you could be, rarely mentioning what it costs. And here's the truth. Men aren't coming to save you. They didn't fund the aftercare. They didn't protect you when the infection set in. It's your body, your risk, your consequence. And then there's Dubai, the porta potty parties. Women travel overseas for opportunity, attention, glamour, but some end up with their bodies broken, literally handed over to men they thought they could trust, and left with catastrophic consequences. One young Ukrainian OnlyFans model ended up with a broken spine, arms and legs. The family says assault and exploitation. She went overseas thinking opportunity would elevate her, and instead she got risk, injury and trauma. Men weren't coming to save her. Let's be real. Extreme behavior, cosmetic enhancements, and adult content creation are adult choices, but the influence on impressionable young girls, massive. They see this stuff and think attention and fame are worth giving up safety, dignity, and health. They see viral stunts and think, that could be me. They see cosmetic trends and think, I need this to be desirable. They see OnlyFans and the simp economy and think every interaction with men should be monetized, traded, or performed. The consequences? Rarely included in the highlight reels. Broken bodies, emotional trauma, lifelong regrets, hidden behind the glamour. Media polarization doesn't help. Some call Lily Phillips' stunt empowerment. Others call it tragedy. BBL trends? Some call it beauty innovation. Some call it dangerous. Dubai parties. Opportunity versus disaster. Headlines polarize attention, but consequences remain. Reality doesn't care about what the media labels it. Consequences are real. They exist. They follow every choice. And repetition matters. Giving your body overseas for attention, for validation, for money, for fame. Picking a cosmetic procedure because culture told you it's desirable. Chasing extreme stunts for OnlyFans or TikTok virality. And the younger generation, they are watching, learning, internalizing, sometimes imitating. That's the disastrous effect. The impressionable girls and boys seeing attention rewarded, extremes celebrated, and consequences ignored until it's too late. So here's the takeaway. Recognize the patterns. Understand the risks. Attention-driven extremes are real. Cosmetic, sexual, and social media pressures are real. And men aren't coming to save you. The consequences are yours. And for the kids of this generation and future generations, these patterns are lessons. They'll see what's rewarded and think it's worth it. They'll see extremes and imitate them. They'll see glamour and ignore the danger. That's what culture teaches if nobody points it out. If this resonates, if you understand the patterns, the extremes, the risks, the consequences, then hit like. Subscribe and share this. Awareness matters. Observation matters. Because attention-driven extremes aren't going away. But understanding them just might save someone from paying the price with their body, their health, and their life. Thank you, and talk soon.